Things don't always go to plan, do they?
Whoops!
Watch how these people got thrown into chaos out of nowhere. Grandma rides the wheelchair. This guy thought it would be a great idea to put the wheelchair on the slope. As luck would have it, the wheelchair slips and drags Grandma down the driveway into a horrifying ride. She yelled out to her grandson, who came running after the wheelchair to drag Grandma back up to the house. He is going to hear an earful. The worst best man. Imagine going to a wedding where the best man manages to steal the spotlight. The couple was busy telling their vows to each other when the time came to wear the rings. The best man had one job, and that was to hand the ring to the groom. In doing so, he falls over the small step, making the bride stumble. Stop flexing, would you? This motorcyclist was on the run from the police, but his genius swerve sent the police car straight into the ditch while he drove off like a pro. Somebody get him an audition for the next Hollywood action movie. A satisfying fall. This guy was practicing his stunts, but luck had other plans. He falls down straight into the snow with a satisfying thud. Okay, I'm out. A car was driving on the highway when its tire blew off. But the sudden impact didn't do much for the driver. Instead, he just swerved pretty smoothly towards the other turn and drove out of the picture. Not the best breakup. This guy wanted to hit a memorable beat, but ended up showing the stars in the daylight to this poor lady. The worst customer. This guy wanted a closer look at the new TVs on display, but maybe his clumsy self should have been more careful. Seeing the two screens go down, he thought he had it worse, but then two others behind him followed suit. The man grabbed his head in despair and probably fell into an existential crisis. That's $5,000 worth of damage, folks. Could it be worse? This poor forklift was simply doing its job, but one sneaky rack slipped off, bringing the entire shelf down. If you think that's bad, wait a few seconds more. Yeah, that's the whole warehouse brought down into nothing but rubble. The luckiest guy on earth. No matter how many times you tell people to walk safely, there will be a guy like him who will be glued to his cell phone. Imagine how clueless you'd have to be to not see that giant hole a few feet away from you. Well, down the man goes, shocking the worker in the store. Luckily, the stack of boxes underground saved the man. Yeah, this isn't going to help with his phone addiction. The icy driveway. The father forgot to put the car in park. His son got out and didn't think much of it. As soon as the duo got out, the car started rolling down the driveway, slipping into free fall. The father comes scurrying out of the house, scrambling in panic. Luckily, he managed to stop the car in time. The clueless crook. This guy spent a good amount of time emptying the rack to create his escape route out on the other hand. A genius move? Wait for it. The loose stack forces the guy to climb back in and figure out something else. So he runs back in and moves the rack closer to the gate. He hops over, but somehow gets his foot stuck in the gate. The poor guy tried to wiggle free, but he knew he was done for. He will be caught in the morning and will be known as the dangling thief. Lost in thoughts. This guy was so focused on filling his can with gas that he never noticed his car driving away on its own. It wasn't until it crashed into the ditch that the man figured out what went wrong. Even then, he took his sweet time to get back to his car. A crowd had gathered far earlier around the vehicle than the slow-thinking man started taking his steps. Maybe the car was done with the man too. You'd never guess it. This waitress was cleaning up around the restaurant, having no clue what was about to happen. She picks up the tray of glasses, stumbles on the chair, hits another chair, and smashes into the glass. Normal workday. This pretty much looks like an average office, but there's about to be a surprise dropped on them. Yep, It is a man breaking the ceiling. He falls down on his back and greets his coworker who shuffles around the store to capture the moment in his camera. Do you think he'll frame it or send it to maintenance? I picked the first option. That's the best post-accident conversation you've heard, isn't it? The idiot high five. This truck was speeding up on the street when a car was backing up from its driveway. The two ended up high-fiving each other in the middle. The lost battle with the shark. This guy thought it would be a great idea to catch a shark on his kayak. So, he threw the line, caught the giant, and almost lost his pole. You'd think he'd learn from his mistakes, but that's far from it. He grabs the handle again and gives it all his strength to pull the shark out of the water. But a few seconds into the struggle, the shark attacks the kayak and races away. The mighty force topples the kayak and sends the man into the water. He swam in panic back to the safety of the boat in case the shark had another power move lined up against him.
It's still on. Grab the kayak, jump back in.
The losing battle. This guy provoked the fish to keep moving, and well, it did. The poor fisherman was dragged over the watery slope, while his friends stared back at him in amusement. The panic on his face is priceless as he hits the brakes near the edge. The hopeless serving. Sometimes, it is simply not your day, is it? Bald men get a dose. These guys asked for food, and this is how the waiter decides to serve them. Sure, you can handle that. I have no clue what this guy was trying to prove, but it is not about to end well for him. The guy walks over with the tower of beer glasses, huffing and puffing, trying to show that the mighty hero can carry it all. The audience follows him, chanting to give him support, but he didn't quite calculate the distance. A few seconds into his stunt, the weight of the glasses wins over him, and he splashes the beer all over the street. But he still had his hold on the lower tier. Does that count? Will you be okay, buddy? This waiter was cleaning the table a bit faster than he should have. He started stacking up the plates of the large table, thinking he'd carry it all back safely. But a pair of chopsticks ended up being the reason behind his failure. The fan's crazy interruption. This lady stood too close to the fan and didn't realize it until it was too late. In one power move, the fan grabs the hair and shoves it down, dragging the poor lady into a messy fall. That hair is going to take forever to untangle. The Clumsiest Robber. This was probably a last-minute robbery attempt because look at him. He is wearing a garbage bag and a bucket over his head to hide his face. The guy sneaks inside and stumbles while fixing his garbage bag. When he finally picks a couple of chickens to steal, he heads outside to his escape route. The cartoon throws the chickens from a horrifying height, and that's when instant karma hit him in the face. He topples to the ground, losing balance on the ladder, and then just walks off. What is he on? The trouble never stops. All this panda wanted was to climb back down to safety. But his luck wasn't by his side. The animal wiggled out from the branches and hit its head on the steps. Sadly, his troubles didn't end there. The poor guy fell one after the other on the wooden steps, finally coming to a stop near the edge. The panda then jogs down the rest of the steps like a champ. The odd footballer. A soccer match was running strong when suddenly a raccoon invaded the field. He probably wanted to be a football player because look at him go. The officers were no match against him. 4 to 5 people were after the raccoon with a trash can in their hands and the crowd howling behind them. But the raccoon managed to dribble away multiple times until finally, the cowardly officials managed to hold the animal in place. Somebody should sign this raccoon up for their club. Get your nose out of the book. This guy is too dedicated to his work. He won't get distracted even if there is a tornado around him. Yep, down you go. Maybe watch where you're looking next time. The wasted crooks. This store witnessed a robbery that made even the owners laugh. A man entered the store, hopped over the counter, and went straight for the cash. Apparently his loot wasn't enough, so a woman came running, jumped over the counter, and fell on her rear down on the floor. She grabbed a handful of cigarettes and went the same way back where she came. She could have used the gate, but that would have been too easy, right? The hopping landed her into another fall. But her series of embarrassing falls didn't end there. The woman was running out of the exit when she landed on her rear end yet again. Somehow she managed to get into the car and flee the scene. Firsts are trial. Anyways, this guy came prepared. He brought a couple of rocks to smash down the glass, but it didn't work. So he decided to become the rock next and dived straight into the door with a flying kick. The door sent him falling back on his back with his shoe flying in the opposite direction. He got back up and inside the store, but this moment is forever on the internet. The dramatic stage drop. With all those flowers on his head, he was placing all of his trust in his friends to help him walk. But this guy was wrong to trust his friends. They carried him all the way over to the stage and sat him down. But the moment he seated himself, the sofa lost its balance, taking away the groom with it. The groom got back up fast, but nobody can snatch this embarrassing moment away from him now. I'm out. The car was slipping down the road and was heading straight into the water. The panicky driver came running to save his vehicle, but it was too late. The worst day at work. This guy right here thought he had the steel pipe under control. He heaved it on his shoulder, and the bottom end collided straight with a car's windshield. The clueless worker was thrown on the ground after the crash, but that's just the tip of his problems. Good luck dealing with the angry driver, you idiot. Model with the watering can. This model was handed a watering can to walk down the ramp. You'd think it was empty, but that wasn't quite the case. Water spilled out when she first fell on the ramp. Seconds later, the poor model stumbled in the most alien way possible, trying her best to keep her balance in those long heels. She kept her graceful walk and moved on, but sadly, this clip won't see the same fate. Look out for the leg. The singer wanted to pull off stunts, even if it meant hopping over the fans. One of them got trapped in the leg drop for a second, but she seemed fine. After all, the show must go on, right? At least the singer seems to think so. Not for you, maybe? This guy halted his car to get ready to pull off the mighty drift, but maybe he should have waited more. He goes off at a blazing speed only to swerve out of control and crash quite pathetically onto the side of the road. He'll have to practice more before he can be recorded on the camera. The tiniest of collisions. Honeybees have problems too, but do you ever think about them? No. This poor guy was probably on his first day at work. As he backs up, he crashes straight into another bee, getting the deadliest look from him. Soon enough, another bee crashes, but this one's a bit dramatic. It falls down after getting barely scratched by the other bee. Not a normal day. This guy probably just wanted to go to work, but the slippery road said no. With a couple of crashes, the truck finally comes to a halt. The longest day at work. This poor worker is in for a long day. She was stacking up the drinks in the empty racks when the whole shelf fell down on her. She was just fine, but the drinks spilled all over the store, turning every nook and corner sticky. Let me just handle that. This lady was not happy that her car got towed. She started fighting with the officer but realized it wasn't going to land her anywhere. So she turned around and got back into her car. The officer checked the locks and knew she wasn't going to go anywhere. So he waved her off. Boy, was he wrong. The superwoman was in a completely different zone. All it took was one push and she was dragging the machine on the road, driving off into the sunset. The officer was recorded running and crying after her. Oh, hi! This guy gave one look at the shelf and walked off. But his charm did something that no one can explain. It fell down the moment he left, scaring away the other customer. She wasn't hurt, but the mess was everywhere. Ended before it started. This truck was all set to mark its name in the race, but with one climb, the Jeep fell with a loud thud straight into the sand and got stuck. The crowd didn't bother helping the Jeep get out. They'll do it after the race. The smoothest entry. This guy took the hobby of off-roading a bit too close to his heart. He took a wrong turn but managed to keep his cool all the way down from the slope to his entrance into the intersection. Now, that's what you call badass. Beer rack fail. Whoever put these here must have had eyes. You can't possibly do the job and think that's stacked fine. The tower topples over and floods the entire warehouse with beer. What do you call this? This isn't any normal road rage you're gonna see here. These guys are in a completely different war zone. The pesky driver threw an exploding firework into his rival's seat and it blew off right there and then. Somebody is gonna get fired. This lorry truck was loaded all the way to its end. But somebody didn't do their job right. With a small turn, the carnage was pushed out of the truck and got dumped all over the parked cars, crashing into them. The smoke blew over, and the truck halted. Hold my cup! This guy was just trying to show off, and he is never going to shut up about this. Not anytime soon. The loose shelf. The old man brought the ladder to arrange the products on the shelf. But the loose rack decided to stumble down and fall on the poor guy. He is gonna quit after this. That's not how it works. Okay. Who put them to work? This worker who's clearly drunk thinks he's getting the work done. And he's quite happy about it too. But let's just wait till tomorrow. The rogue luggage. The suitcase was recorded running away from the airplane. See, this is what happens when you bring pets to the airport. There's a reason that they aren't allowed. Never getting back up. This worker was loading the truck, but the truck was in some sort of a hurry. Before getting the signal, the truck sped up, throwing the forklift straight on its back. She's probably quitting. This worker had enough of the mundane tasks at her boring job. So she decided to run straight into a meltdown right on her desk. What's funny is that the rest of the workers are just typing away. That's what a corporate job does to you, doesn't it, folks? Man vs. computer. I think the winner is pretty clear here. We don't need to go much into the debate. Boy, he's still going after it, isn't he? The angry sheep. This sheep is clearly not having a good day, and if that means head-bumping anyone and everyone, so be it. The man who ended up saving a passerby got into the bad radar of this sheep. The crazy animal was not willing to let the man go home in peace. In the end, the man just stared back at the angry sheep, just completely done with the animal. The balloon disaster. Ohio wanted to break the world record by launching over 1.5 million balloons into the air. But nature intervened, and things went horribly wrong. Instead of flying away, the balloons dropped back to the city due. Next thing you know, the entire city was greeted with an unwanted balloon invasion. There were a couple of boaters who were lost in the lake, but the balloons in the lake made that search equivalent to finding a needle in the haystack. The balloons flew into the airport, disrupted the traffic, and created chaos everywhere. It was a messy day for the state. Limo surprise. Every wedding has hiccups, but this wedding just went off the rails. The limo carrying the bride ended up crashing on the side of the road and erupting into fire. The bride and her friends got out in time, but that poor rental is just another dent added to their list of wedding expenses. The craziest chain reaction. These dumb fools planted the fireworks 10 feet away from where they were standing. You'd think that's the dumbest thing they did, but just wait. The fireworks started blowing up, sending awful sparks all over the place. The laughing donkey. Who called donkeys dumb? I just want to have a small chat. This dog barked at the electric fence and ended up getting hit with the electric shock. It ran off, scrambling away in panic, barking loudly. But its pain was pretty amusing to the donkey on the other side of the fence. Which one of these incidents was your favorite? Let us know in the comments down below. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.